It is It is Qui-Gon Jinn Tuesday evening. Come, let us meditate like a Jedi. This evening, let us play with the latest iteration of Heart of Meditation. So we're dividing the recitation of the Heart of Wisdom Sutra into 4 portions. The text has been adapted and amplified from traditional sources by yours truly. Every time you see something in standard font, that's from a traditional source. Every time it's italicized but standard size, that's an adaptation. And when you see it's italicized and small in brackets, that's me amplifying the text. I don't do that to be special. I just do that because I want people I want to maximize people's comprehension of the text, as well as optimize the amount of benefit they derive from the text. I hope that makes sense. Please chant with me. It is said that Quan Chi and Pu saw an archetype of love and letting go, while moving in the deep peace of the perfect understanding of awareness and release. Shed light on the 5 aggregates and found them equally empty. After this realization, she made peace with all pain. Oop, that's an editing opportunity. Listen, Shari Pundra, form is emptiness is form. Form does not differ from emptiness does not differ from form. The same is true with feeling of personal impulse and awareness. Welcome to the first quarter of mindful crease counting meditation. Over the span of 12 inhalations, we could advance our right thumb in the following manner, beginning with our little finger. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Multiply this by 8 sets, and you'll have counted 96 inhalations. We could keep track of those 8 sets on our left hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 sets of 12 inhalations each. To keep track of this, our first quarter, we can rest the great knuckle at the base of our right little finger, upon the tip of our left little finger, palms up in our lap. Come, let us demystify enlightenment. As we go through life, words matter, and the definitions of words matter. If our teachers are members of the religious patriarchy, there's a good chance that the definitions they buffet us with are rigid and superstitious and controlling. Consider the word enlightenment. From the rigid point of view, it can mean something unattainable, only for special people. But if we are not elitist, if we are egalitarian and laid back and flexible, then we will find that definition to be dissatisfying. Allow me to define enlightenment from the perspective of being flexible, loving, rational, laid back, egalitarian, lucid, cooperative, and kind. What if enlightenment was nothing more than mastery of Gautama Buddha's Eightfold Path? But what on earth do we mean by mastery? Whatever task, whatever skill we're trying to learn, Whether it's learning how to use a toilet, learning how to brush our teeth, learning how to tie our shoes, learning how to ride a bike. Once we get good at it, we can get so good at it that we practice it spontaneously, habitually, easily, and effectively. It is possible to so master the Buddha's Eightfold Path. In fact, in the Buddha's discourse of the 4 bases of mindfulness, he taught in the second to last passage that it was possible to master this path in as little as a week. The key to doing that lies in efficiency. The 7th fold of the Eightfold Path is mindfulness. The 8th fold is meditation. Practice the 2 of these every 12 hours. And within a week, and the remaining 6 folds of the Buddha's Eightfold Path will take care of themselves. This evening, we will explore that in greater detail. In light of the importance of mindfulness and meditation, I think it wise to view them through the lens of neuroscience, which we shall do after approximately 30 seconds of housekeeping. This is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. For more than 30 years, I've spent about 8 hours a day, almost every day, studying, practicing, mastering, and reverse engineering the teachings and techniques of each school of meditation so that you would not have to. Welcome, my friends, to Meditate Like a Jedi, which is made possible due to the generosity of viewers just like you. Let us begin with mindfulness. Every time we inhale, whether we know it or not, we are wired by evolution to spontaneously access our sympathetic nervous system found in the middle third of our spinal cord. This bad boy has evolved to help us to notice in a very special way. To help us to notice vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly. But notice what? Notice mind's antics of perception. You know, seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting, smelling, and the like. Including emotion, intention, cognition, recollection, and imagination. Now this is a whole lot of stuff to do at the same time. Kind of like walking backwards while blowing bubble gum. So fortunately there's a shortcut. There's a hack. When we silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this during our inhalation, we induce our cerebral cortex to stop repressing our sympathetic nervous system and begin cooperating with it. But the question remains, what are we to do with all this stuff that we notice? I shall now explain that very concisely. We call it, when we silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb ease during our exhalation, we could find ourselves physically relaxing and mentally releasing what we noticed during our previous inhalation, to the point that what we noticed could feel as if it was as non-graspable as a vast empty void. Now that's a really fun figure of speech, but if we asked an English teacher, they would remind us that a simile such as this is only as powerful as it is relatable. Therefore, we must ask the question. We must ask, what is a real-world example of a non-graspable, vast, empty void? And the illusion is staring you in the face. A real-world example of a non-graspable vast empty void is the illusion of the infinite azure sky on a bright and beautiful cloudless morn, which, although could be tantalizing to the eye, is non-graspable to the hand. And that is meditation. As I mentioned a few minutes ago, simply by playing with mindfulness and meditation, we develop a deep familiarization, that's a tough word for me to pronounce, a deep familiarization with the figurative emptiness that supports letting go. So together as a team, let us play with mindfulness and meditation for the next several minutes. And remember, do not be stoic. Do not be brave. The moment you have a specific question about Buddhist chanting, Buddhist philosophy, or Buddhist meditation, please type your question in great detail in the chat window. Let's chant. Listen, Sharipundra, phenomena marked with emptiness. There is neither desire nor dread that once perceived cannot be released. Neither production nor destruction that once perceived cannot be released. Neither purification nor corruption that once perceived cannot be released. Neither increasing nor decreasing that once perceived cannot be released. Therefore in emptiness there is no form, no feeling, no appraisal, no impulse and no awareness that once perceived cannot be released. No sensation, no flavor, no scent, no sound, no sight, no phenomena that once perceived cannot be released. No body, no tongue, no nose, no ears, no eyes, no mind that once perceived cannot be released. No feeling, no tasting, no smelling, no hearing, no seeing, no noticing that once perceived cannot be released. Welcome to the second quarter of Mindful Crease Counting Meditation. Over the span of 12 inhalations, we could advance our right thumb in the following manner, beginning with our little finger. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Multiply this by 8 sets, and that'll give you 96 inhalations. We could keep track of those 8 sets on our left hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 sets of 12 inhalations each. To keep track of this, our second quarter, we could rest the great knuckle at the base of our right ring finger, upon the tip of our left ring finger, palms up in our lap. So let us begin by concisely reviewing how mindfulness works. Every time we silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this during our inhalation, thanks to our sympathetic nervous system, we are wired to vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly notice mind's antics of perception, emotion, intention, cognition, recollection, and imagination. What are we to do with all that which we notice? That brings us to our lengthy explanation of meditation, wherein we view it through the lens of neuroscience. Every time we exhale, whether we know it or not, we have already evolved to notice our parasympathetic nervous system, which has been divided between the lower third of our spinal cord as well as the upper third. This parasympathetic nervous system has evolved to support both physical relaxation as well as mental release. Every time we silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb ease during our exhalation, we are gently persuading our cerebral cortex to stop repressing or opposing our parasympathetic nervous system and begin cooperating with it, to the point that we not only physically relax, but we mentally release what we noticed during our previous inhalation, causing that which we noticed to fleetingly feel less tantalizing, less permanent, and less defining. This is known as tilakkhana, or the 3 marks of reality. Or at least it is from a certain point of view. Now, as I mentioned previously, simply by playing with mindfulness and meditation every 12 hours or so, can lend itself to the first fold of the Buddha's Eightfold Path, the deep familiarization with the literal impermanence that supports our mental release. So, together as a team, let us play with mindfulness and meditation for the next several moments. Allow me to remind you that during each inhalation, we are wired to generate a vertical traction between our tush and our head, and that during each exhalation, that traction can release, at least to a certain degree. Let's chant. No interdependent origins and no extinction of them. From confusion to aging and death that once perceived cannot be released. No stress, no confusion, no liberation, no path. No understanding, no attainment that once perceived cannot be released. Because there is no attainment that once perceived cannot be released. The Bodhisattva archetypes of awareness and release supported by perception and release is perfection of understanding. Find no obstacles for the minds that once perceived cannot be released. Having no obstacles that once perceived cannot be released, they transcend the tyranny of fear, liberating themselves forever from the tyranny of illusion and realizing perfect nirvana. All Buddhas of the past, present, and future, thanks to this perfect understanding of noticing and releasing, arrive at full right and universal enlightenment. Welcome to the third quarter of Mindful Crease Counting Meditation. Over the span of 12 inhalations, we could advance our right thumb in the following manner, beginning with our little finger. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. If you multiply this by 8 sets, you get 96 inhalations. We can count those 8 sets on our left hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 sets of 12 inhalations each. To keep track of this, our third quarter, we can rest the great knuckle at the base of our right middle finger. Upon the tip of our left middle finger, palms up in our lap. Sturgeon's Law reminds us that 90% of everything sucks. Since the Neolithic Revolution, the majority of societies, the majority of civilizations on Earth have conditioned their populace to be rigid, fearful, superstitious, controlling, elitist, cryptic, competitive, and cruel. And yet, there's always been a minority who strove to evolve beyond that, to instead be flexible, loving, rational, laid-back, egalitarian, lucid, cooperative, and kind. The majority of meditation teachers are rigid and controlling, and they implore their students to actively focus and actively analyze. The result of overworking our prefrontal cortex is that we trigger our amygdala, which functions as the seat of anxiety and aggression that I think most of us don't want. Most of us do not meditate because we want more anxiety and aggression. We meditate because we want more peace. We want to be more peaceful, and we want to be more loving. When good-hearted and perceptive people who have been indoctrinated into focus and analysis recognize that they're being cranky, because they're typically stuck in the sunk cost logical fallacy, they wind up just switching the focus of their focus to love. And they try to concentrate and analyze their way to love. But all they do is continue to beat up their amygdala and increase their experience and of anxiety and aggression. But I've got some good news. As we've already seen, Neither our amygdala nor our prefrontal cortex constitute the entirety of our central nervous system. We have a sympathetic nervous system that facilitates mindfulness, especially when we silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this during our inhalation. And we have a parasympathetic nervous system that facilitates meditation, especially when we silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb ease during our exhalation. So check this out. When we play with mindfulness and meditation, we soothe our anxiety, our aggression, and especially the tyranny they exert or can exert over our choices, utterances, and deeds. That's excellent. Calming that tyranny is awesome. But there's more. When we play with mindfulness and meditation every 12 hours or so, we actually stimulate our anterior cingulate gyrus. This thing that kind of looks like the letter C. This bad boy has evolved to function as the hub of our mirror neurons, the seat of empathy and compassion and love. You see, trying to concentrate and analyze our way to love will only produce an analog of love, flaccid and worthless and weak. But simply playing with mindfulness and meditation will cause us to experience the highest love, which is spontaneous, uncontrived, effortless, and which constitutes 50% of the Buddha's Eightfold Path, including kind intention, kind communication, kind conduct, and kind commerce, or I should say commerce that is as cooperative as it is kind. This is the essence of Buddhist morality. We don't need hundreds of vows. All we need is to be governed by love. And that love flows from the font of our mindfulness and meditation. That is why the Buddha was able to teach in the discourse of the four bases of mindfulness that one could accomplish full enlightenment in just a week. So I invite you to join me for the next several minutes in a practice of mindfulness and meditation. By the way, personally, every 15 minutes or so, I make a minor adjustments in my sitting posture. One time the left leg will be on top, the next time it'll be on the bottom. I found doing so prevents arthritis. And if you already have arthritis, it helps to manage the arthritis. Let us chant the final quarter of the Heart of Wisdom Sutra together. Therefore one should know that this perfect understanding of noticing and releasing is like a great mantra, is like an unequaled mantra. The destroyer of the tyranny of all suffering, the incorruptible truth. Now I think it would make more sense if I moved this in the following manner. Let's continue. Whoopsie, let's get rid of these marks and continue. Whoopsie, and continue. Here we go. A mantra prajnaparamita's perfect wisdom of awareness and release could therefore be proclaimed. This is the mantra gate gate para samgate bodhi swaha. Release completely and perfectly release into enlightenment. May it be so. We come now to the fourth quarter of mindful crease counting meditation. Over the span of 12 inhalations, we can advance our right thumb in the following manner, beginning with our little finger. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Multiply this by 8 sets, and you get 96. We can count those 8 sets on our left hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 sets of 12 inhalations each. We could keep track of this, our final quarter, our fourth quarter, by resting the great knuckle at the base of our right index finger, upon the tip of our left index finger, palms up in our lap. So we'll start with a review and then we'll build on that. Let us begin by reviewing mindfulness. Every time we silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this during our inhalation, we are wired, thanks to our sympathetic nervous system, to vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly notice a bunch of things. First, we notice mind's antics of perception, emotion, intention, cognition, recollection, and imagination. Then we notice the duality of desiring some of the things that we notice and dreading other things that we notice. Then we experience the resistance to the absence of what we desire, as well as the resistance to the presence of our objects of dread. What do we do with this big Megillah, this big mess? Glad you asked. We turn to meditation. Every time we silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb ease during our exhalation, thanks to our parasympathetic nervous system, we're wired to physically relax and mentally release to the point that we not only release what we noticed, not only do we release our desires and dreads, but we release our resistance to the absence of what we desire, as well as release our resistance to the presence of what we dread. Now, this could sound like I'm this evil guy trying to get you, trying to coerce you into becoming a passive doormat, that life might be forever scraping its mucky boots upon you. But check this out. The more we play with mindfulness and meditation, the more we will notice our choices and our utterances and our deeds flowing from the effortless effort of love's centered spontaneity, which should not be confused with the scattered spontaneity one could experience after their fourth espresso, but rather the centered spontaneity that flows from mindfulness and meditation. This is known by many terms. It's described as going with the flow. It's also known as surfing our Buddha nature. Buddha nature is just a fun Iron Age way of describing what now in the digital age, because of fMRIs and stuff like that, we now recognize that every healthy human being has a sympathetic nervous system wired for mindfulness. Every healthy human being has a parasympathetic nervous system wired for meditation. Every healthy human being has an anterior cingulate gyrus wired for empathy. Each of us are already wired to not only practice the Eightfold Path, but master it in just a week or two. Together as a team, let us play with mindfulness and meditation for the final time during this evening's live stream. So let's make the most of it. Oh, and yes, by the way, the moment you have a specific question about Buddhist chanting, Buddhist philosophy, or Buddhist meditation, please immediately type your question in great detail in the chat window. Strike while the iron is hot. Let's dig in. You have taken your next step into a much larger world. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel. In approximately 11 hours or so, I would very much like to return to the tomorrow's early morning meditation class and group practice. And if you are as geeky as me, may the force be with you always.